Hey, what's up, YouTube? I want to try something a little different today since I am running the washing machine right now, and so I wouldn't want that noise to be in this video. And I also don't know how much longer I'm going to have the apartment to myself. You see, because my dad could come home anytime. He comes home a little earlier on Friday. And another thing I'd like to talk about is the fact that if today is Friday the 6th and 6 plus 7 is 13, guess what that makes next Friday? Well, hopefully I'll make a video by then about that in particular, but for today I'd rather just make a video about something totally different that's been on my mind for many years, and it's a subject that has kind of been disturbing to me for a long time. And what I'd like to talk about is what makes me really mad. All these years that I've spent looking at trans people's videos, thinking that, somewhat, to some extent, I may have at one point loosely identified as trans, although, I really don't like the term trans man, as I've talked about before. I don't fully identify as a male, never have. But one very unusual thing that I see, and it really is disturbing to me, but all these years I've spent watching their videos and watching their transformations, which don't impress me, by the way, because as I've stated before, what would actually be impressive would be if they stayed looking the same or as much the same as possible throughout their lifespan, not, these transformations. They think it's just so impressive. Oh, look at me, I'm just so different than I was as that beautiful 18-year-old girl graduating high school. Well, that really, like I say, that don't impress me much. Say like Shania Twain, that don't impress me much. Because like I say, if anything, I want to stay as much like my old self as I possibly can. If I could just never change for the rest of my life and look like I'm 18 or 21, that's what I would want personally, as much of that as possible, because I feel like, especially for a woman, your peak is somewhere in your early 20s, and you just gradually go downhill, though not as rapidly as a male would, but of course that could just be my own biased opinion. I think that men, especially those with male pattern baldness, they just do not look good after 30, if they're losing their hair. But what really makes me mad, and always has, is how you'll see these videos of people who, for the vast majority of their lives, like maybe even past high school graduation, they had long flowing hair, possibly over 2 feet long. And we're talking like, longer than my sister's hair today. And it's just so disturbing to me to see these people that they go from having long hair and in no way presenting as a male in any way, shape, or form. In fact, they may have even dated guys, which I find more disturbing than, if they had just always been attracted to girls or no one at all. I find nothing more disturbing than someone who is heterosexual according to biology, but yet still wants to transition to the other sex, which, like I've stated before, is impossible. But for someone who is genetically male but likes genetic females, or genetically female and likes genetic males, to be transitioning is the absolute most disturbing and disgusting thing that this wide world has to offer. I would rather be 99% lesbian, if that were even the case, which I don't think it is, than to be 1% homosexual male. Why? Because there is no female equivalent to Leviticus 20:13, and the Bible doesn't even use the word lesbian anywhere from Genesis through Revelation. So as far as I'm concerned, even if 99 out of 100 people that I've liked in that way, which I'm not even sure I've ever liked anyone in that way, were women, I would still want to be considered a female, okay? Because to me, a homosexual male is just way, 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 way worse than being a lesbian. because I don't, a lot of people think lesbians don't even exist, hence the term fairies. That's where it comes from, this idea that we don't even exist, or that we are just pretending to like other women or something. But anyway, so what I find really disturbing is people who had long hair, maybe even right up to a month before they even got on male hormones. Then all of a sudden, they decide that they're every bit as much of a man as my father, which I find totally disgusting. And if I ever found, someone like that in real life, the people that know me and care about me would assist me in telling them, what they can do and how they have no business even calling themselves my friend, let alone a boyfriend or lover or whatnot. But anyway, so what I find disturbing, because it's like, the reason that makes me so angry when I see a picture of like a long-haired 18-year-old girl next to a 20-something person that's presenting as a man, or it doesn't really matter the age, but, have this long-haired girl next to a picture that says 1 year on T of a person that's just a few years older, but, now they've cut their hair all off, and it's like, what I don't understand about the situation is, why do they never consider living, a compromise or a happy medium is what I'm trying to say. Why did they never think that they could just cut their hair and that's it? Why can't, I wrote one of them an email many years ago, like 2008, so I guess that'd be about 12 years ago. Why can't you just be a short-haired girl like me? And what I meant by that was like, why, did this person as of February have to go all the way from a long-haired person in February to someone who is already injecting testosterone in March of 2008, and then by the summer, is already going through the voice change, and then a year later already having their breasts removed, and, I don't know what this person is up to today, and I don't really care. But my point in that is like, why don't people just why can't you just be a not so feminine female or a not so masculine male is what I'm trying to say. If you're M to F, why can't you just be an effeminate gay man? Or, if you're F to M, why can't you just be a butch lesbian? Or a butch woman. I don't even like the term lesbian. I just say butch woman. But, so yeah, I mean, in my case, my life story is very unique. And in some ways, I think I've been very lucky. My parents are supportive enough in the way that I've actually had short hair to varying extents since I was about 10 years old. Sometimes it was maybe as long as this, but it's always been somewhat short. Like, I've never had a long flowing ponytail of hair since I was 10 or younger. And so all throughout the majority of my life, I've had short hair, and I don't wear dresses, and I don't wear makeup. But never once, have I ever thought that I was a male in the sense that everyone should call me he and him. You know what I'm saying? Like, I've always been sort of a less than feminine girl. And, my parents are of the mindset that they don't care if I cut my hair short. In fact, they'll pay for me to have it done. But, the minute I would ask to be called he or him or a different name, I mean, that's when they would tell me that, they would pretty much disown me. And my mom says if I ever use the word transition in reference to myself, she'll transition my face into a million pieces. And my dad has told me, you're not a guy, you don't think like a guy. And, so neither one of them support me. And they've both told me in no uncertain terms that while I can have short hair, which I've had, since 93, they do not support me and will not refer to me as a male.